In this video, we're going to be simplifying radicals using the quotient property of square roots. The quotient property of square roots says that the square root of a quotient equals the quotient of the square roots of the numerator and the denominator. So what does that mean? Well, it means that if we have something like the square root of 3 over 4, we can break that apart to the square root of 3 over the square root of 4 and then simplify from there. In algebra, we would simply write the square root of a over b and then break that apart as the square root of a over the square root of b, where a has to be greater than or equal to 0 and b has to be greater than 0. Let's take a look at an example. So in this example, we have that the square root of 15 over 64. So using our quotient property, we're going to go ahead and split this apart so that what we're looking at is the square root of 15 over the square root of 64. When we look at this, we don't know the square root of 15, but the square root of 64 is 8. So we can take the square root of 15 and break that down. So the numbers that will multiply to 15 are 3 and 5. And we notice here that those are each prime numbers, but neither of them is a pair. So we can't actually simplify 15, the square root of 15, any farther, which means this is our solution. Let's take a look at our next example. Here we have the square root of 81 over x squared. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to break that apart, which is going to give us the square root of 81 over the square root of x squared. The square root of 81 is a perfect square, which is 9, but our x squared we'll need to split apart. So x squared is an x times an x, and each of those are prime, and we have a pair of them. Fabulous. So that means we're going to bring an x out. And so our solution is 9 over x. Let's take a look at our third example. Here we have negative radical 17 over 100. And so for this problem, what we're going to do is we're going to take our negative sign and we're simply just going to move it over and then split it apart. So then we'll have the square root of 17 over the square root of 100. And as we look at this, again, we're taking our negative with us. The square root of 17 is not perfect, so we'll need to break that down. So the square root of 17 is, well, 17 is a prime number. So nothing except for 1 and 17 will make that. So because we can't break down any down farther, that's going to give us a square root of 17. And the square root of 100 is 10. And so our final answer is going to be a negative radical 17 over 10.